You don't have to be at 220 and then be at 130 to enjoy it. You could be at 220 and get down to 210 and enjoy that you lost that weight. So you really got to enjoy the process.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Mike and the Doc. I'm Mike.
And I'm the doc, and I'm going to talk to you guys today about the importance of maintaining a healthy weight and how that plays into longevity. I'm also going to go over my personal story and my weight loss journey. I used to weigh 220 and now I weigh 130. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for new daily content. So Doc, how much weight have you lost in total?
So 220 to 130 is what, like 90 pounds?
I knew you were heavy before, but I didn't know you got up to 220. How did you go about taking that down?
So it has been such a journey. It's been so awesome. I really recommend it. I think ultimately what got me to 220 was the worst. It's just ridiculously stupid habits. Like automatically coming home and sitting in front of that TV and like a bag of cheesies. Like that cheesies are my crack. Like it was like crack. Have you ever had cheesies?
Is that Cheetos?
I like my kids like Cheetos.
That's what I'm thinking.
But I'm talking about like, and then they have
Cheez-Its?
No, these are cheesies.
Okay.
Like I don't want people to know, but there's a specific. Well, I'll just say there are these because now I have to deal with my kids having them in front of me. They're called antiaging cheesies. They are like the best cheesies ever.
And Auntie Anne makes cookies.
Yes,
I believe. Yes.
So there are these cheeses. So like getting in front of the TV, like because like it's like a relaxation, right? You've all done all this work. You come home, you sit down. Part of your relaxation is just like cheesies. And you're watching something on TV. You have no idea you've negotiated like 1,000 calories, and you're not even like 10 minutes into the show.
Right.
You know, you haven't even watched all the ads. So I had the worst habits. Snacking. My wife got on me about snacking. Wow. I love to snack. Oh man. And I'm talking, wouldn't matter how much I ate. That snack was worth everything. So really quickly, two things that will just out of the gate, or like maybe three things, 2 to 3 things out of the gate that will help you lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, like in the next couple of weeks, maybe month. Stop snacking and don't eat at night and you're good. Especially don't eat carbs at night. Holy smokes. Terrible idea.
When did you decide to make a change in your bad habits?
You know, it's funny. Like I'd love to say that I just got up one day and I said, yeah, I'm going to lose weight. But it's been like a slow grind. And it's like, I was talking to my wife about it of recent. And it was like, you know, maybe cut out the snacking. Or maybe we don't got to eat out every second day. Maybe the carbs that we do have, make sure they're high fiber, those sorts of things. But probably for me, what was the tipping point for me was, so we talked about my son. He had meconium aspiration. I ran to kind of escape the pain of that. And then as a result of that, I started running. So that certainly helped and accelerated weight loss. And then it's so funny. It's because my son's like the generation below me, right? And then the generation above me is my dad. And when he died, that's when I knew that I had to make a change, like even more so. So, for example, his father, my grandfather, passed away at 92. And then my dad, who had the assumption is he had access to American healthcare, Canadian healthcare, et cetera, and he passed away at 85. So what? And then if you take that number, 92 minus 85 is 7 years. 85 minus 7, what is that? Like 78?
78.
That puts me at 78, right? And I don't love that. And I want to be there for my kids. And so I just feel like the real accelerant for me was number one, when I started running to get away from the pain of my son, almost passing away from meconium aspiration. And then number two, when my dad passed away, it was like, holy smokes, like you can't continue. It can't be that the Ali men go down like, oh, my grandfather was 92 and then my dad was 85 and then I'm going to be 77. And that's when I was like, no, 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 I got to do something. And weight is such a big thing, as you know.
I'm interested in, like, because a lot of people, maybe they take 5 pounds off
Yeah.
and then their bad habits come back in.
Oh, I see.
And they go back or even
Habits.
worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So,
Habits would
like,
be a good
how do these viewers break that?
So as far as habits are key. It's everything, and also mindset. So what I would say to somebody who's really trying to lose is, if you don't concentrate on it, then you won't. It'll happen. And I know that sounds really corny, but like when I was running to get away from the pain of my son being on the ventilator. So when you run, you release endorphins. It's different for everyone. But when you release endorphins, you feel really good. Okay. For me, it was like feeling really good and being able to not forget, but just the fact that he was on the ventilator just didn't bother me as much when I'm pumped full of endorphins. Right. And that was that. So I have to admit, like, that's kind of what. And then when I noticed the weight coming off, I was like, oh, this is great that this is happening. It wasn't my intention, but it's great that it's happening. But when you're starting out, as far as breaking habits, you have to understand that it's you, right? Like if you're like, oh, I can't run 8 miles today, right? Like I was there. Just
And where did you start? How many miles?
Oh, it was like half a mile, couple miles, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't. You just build on top of it. But so when you're starting out, let's just say it's 2 miles, right? When you're starting out and you're just getting over that first mile is everything. And then the other thing is once you get over that, or if you feel like, oh, you know what? I can't run another mile. You're like, no, you did. And you did it before. So the person who broke through is you. It's just mindset, right? Like, I'll give you another example. If you, like me, I love to snack at night. Oh man, that was my vice.
Still?
Not still, but I used to. I loved it.
Cheesies.
Cheesies. Yeah, cheesies in front of a good TV show, I'm done, right? But the thing is there were times that I didn't have cheesies and I just watched the show. Or there are times when I didn't eat something and it was just after dinner. Oh, we were talking about when to stop eating. I would say around like 4:35, right? Have your dinner, don't have snacks afterwards, and don't even eat until breakfast. And in my case, I try and do a prolonged fast. I don't eat till about 1. Yeah. So that gets into like intermittent fasting. But as far as like don't snack after you eat, and if you feel like you gotta have something, like you gotta have those cheesies, just remember, all you gotta think about is it was me. It was me who not even 5 days ago was able not to snack on those cheesies. So he's in there. That guy's in here somewhere. You just gotta access him. Right? Or like when you're running, like today I probably took like 3 breaks on my run, right? Like that's where I stop. We were just talking about it off camera, but like that's where I just stretch out for like 10 seconds and I get back on my run. But today at around like even like 7 miles, I was like, I don't want to do this, right? Because I worked like pretty late last night. But the thing is like all I got to think to myself is like, no, you've run on this treadmill. You've run 13 miles or, half a marathon. So it's in you to do it again. You just got to access him, right? It's in you already. So it really comes to mindset.
And you and I have talked fasting a couple of times, and because I struggle in that area where I get hangry.
I love intermittent fasting. Oh, man.
But I've been told now by more than just yourself
Yeah.
that if you get past a certain time limit, maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, that it goes away.
So what I do for that is I have to sleep, right? Like we've talked about the benefits of sleep, right? So if I eat at 4:30, I just got to get between 4:30 and when I go to bed. I cannot have anything. I'll drink water, but I cannot have anything after 4:30. And then in the morning, when I get up, when you get up in the morning, I think I was trained to want breakfast, but I don't even want breakfast anymore. I do have coffee, and I wonder if that curbs my appetite a little bit. So remember I told you I was chasing a feeling with running? Okay. One time by accident, I don't know if we talked about this on a previous, I'm sorry, my hand. But I don't know if we talked about this on a previous podcast, but getting the endorphin kick from running and then going into ketosis from intermittent fasting, combining that, wow.
The best.
Oh, man.
I remember talking about that.
Fire. You're on, like, there's nothing the nurses could ask me that I didn't know. People were like, are you okay? Like, did you take something? It's like, no, man. I felt really freaking good.
So that hangry goes away and it's replaced with euphoria.
It is. Like, just anything that you do, I think is better in a fasted state.
Wow.
Yeah. So I am a really big proponent of fasting, intermittent fasting. I love it.
And what was a question I was thinking was, how did your family get behind that, right? Where you're not being called to dinner or...
Great question. Yeah. Great question. So part of eating is social. And that's also another thing is social eating. It's wonderful because it brings us all together. We all kind of like crowd around the campfire and what have you. So there's definitely some benefit to that, right? But what I would do is I would just sit with the family and I would have like water, or I'd have like maybe something that's really high protein. And that was fine because I was sitting with the family. Yeah. But I wouldn't participate with like, everything. Like my son can have like rice and ice cream. Yeah. Right. I want them to have what they want within reason. So where were we at? We were talking about...
I have another question.
Yeah.
When I recently was talking fasting with just a random person, and they were talking about how not eating is not good because then your body starts to eat itself or whatever stores you have. Yeah. That they were more pro eating every, 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah.
What is your response to that?
Totally, I don't love that. I actually think the exact opposite. You want to have your meal. You want to have your insulin spike because when you have that spike of insulin, you are in no way losing weight at that time. So my view is that I want to get my high insulin state out of the way. I want the rest of the day, still, even now, I want the rest of the day to be about weight loss. But every time you eat something, you spike your insulin. And when you spike your insulin, it's not a time that you can actively lose. So Panda talks about it's like a highway, but not with 2 lanes. There's just one lane. You're either rebuilding or you're using energy. But you can't do both at the same time. And yes, you will ultimately break down your own self to make you'll break down your own protein to use the carbohydrate chains to give carbohydrates to your brain, but that is in starvation mode. So you can do that, but none of us typically in the first world will get to that point. Fung, is it Fung? Is that who I'm talking about? Is his name Carl Fung?
So even when we're starving, we're not starving.
No.
We're far from.
Far from. He talks
especially
about,
in America, I would assume.
Yeah.
With the servings and.
You also so let me run this one by you. This is a fun one. Let's just say I'm 130. Let's just say I'm 140. Okay, and I'm 140 at my leanest, and I have 50 pounds of fat. So how do we access our fat stores? Because we're made like this. And so that guy, he talks about there's one group of carbohydrate. There's one kind of energy that's in the fridge, right? You just open up the fridge and you get your food, right? There's another kind of energy that's like locked in an ice box in your basement. Those are your fat stores. How do you get to those fat stores? You cannot if you're in a high insulin state. Okay. There is a point though where you've used everything in the fridge, you've used everything in the freezer, and then you still need carbohydrates because the brain will only take carbohydrates. And that's when you start breaking down your own protein. But that is really, really far off. Like even when I like fast, what I'm feeling like pangs of hunger, that's just my stomach doing a little bit of like squeezing peristalsis, and maybe the walls are hitting each other. That's all you're feeling.
When you get that growl.
Yeah, the growl. Yeah.
Which is when I look to eat.
Well, because we're trained like that.
Right.
We're trained like that. In fact, when it's so funny.
And that will go away if you, and I like what you did. It was like visualization that you've pushed through it before.
Oh yeah, you'll get through it. You won't die. I mean,
Right.
I promise you. Even right now, let's just say I think I was like 17 or 18 or so. I don't know, somewhere between 13 and 18% body fat. Let's say it's 20. So if I have 20% body fat over whatever 130 is, let's just say it's 20 pounds, 25 pounds. I have 25 pounds, so 12 kilos, 12 times 2,000 calories or whatever it is. It might even be 9. I gotta look that up. Give me 1 second. So I just looked it up, and we'll probably fix it in post, but like I just looked it up. It's not 2,000 per kilo. It's 9,000 per kilo. So if I have 12 kilos of fat on my body, then that's 12 times 9. That's like 108,000 calories that I have access to in a state of hunger.
That your body would consume. Right, so you should never be hungry.
You should.
Now I'm thinking, have you trained your mind when you hear that growl, you don't identify that with hunger anymore?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Where do you go in your mind?
I just know that like I just go through the exercise. Like I could literally God has made us this way because there were periods of time where we couldn't eat, right?
Right.
So we have evolved, which is not great for now, right? We've evolved in a way that we are basically made for starvation, right? We wouldn't have got this far if we weren't good at starvation. The problem is we are never starving anymore.
Right.
We're never in a starvation state. And I got to tell you, a lot of things that happen in a really good way happen in a fasted state. You know, like your mental acuity can really turn on when you're in a fasted state. There's this guy, Pythagoras. Do you remember the Pythagorean theorem?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
So Pythagoras he would tell his students when they would take his class that you can't have sex, like, I don't know, a week before my class, and you got to fast. And why did he do that? It's because now you're on point, right? Now everything's going to sink in. So I'm a really big, like probably prior to most things in my life now that are important, I want to make sure I'm not having like a heavy meal.
What about the headache? You know, like if somebody's hungry, sometimes like I'll have a headache, and that causes me to eat to get rid of the headache.
My wife has something like that, and we did have a CGM on her. I think if you want to do it, what I would recommend is that you get a CGM and fast and see what happens to your sugar.
The glucose.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because I thought that was my deal. Maybe, I think you hit on a good point. This might be a nugget for the audience. Is like, if you want to know if fasting is good for you, what you should do is we'll all have these feelings. We all will, because we've been trained, right? Like you get up in the morning, you have to have a high protein breakfast, right? You come home from work, you got to have your dinner, right? Or if you don't eat enough, you're going to start breaking down your body. We've been told these things, right? But just put on a CGM, and when you feel crappy, look to see what your sugar is. Now, in my wife's case, she felt terrible. And I was like, whatever, you don't feel terrible. And then she looked at her sugar, it was like in the 50s. So she has what's called symptomatic hypoglycemia. Myself, I don't get that. I mean, I'm always, whether I'm hungry, not hungry, headache, whatever, My glucose is always like around 70, 80. So I don't get that. But people are different. What I think you should do, Mike, is you should get a CGM and just see. And then once you have the data right in front of you, it's like, oh yeah, I have a headache, but my sugar is just fine. I'm not going to die from hypoglycemia. You'll be like, oh. And then you can train your mind that way.
How did you get over any roadblocks that came up during your journey of weight loss?
So basically roadblocks for me were any sort of bad habits. So the roadblocks would be, I tried and tried and tried not to have cheese, and then I had some, right? What I would do is I would do things like I would get on like Instagram or YouTube and just watch a bunch of videos. And like you want the cheesies at say 7 o'clock, and then you watch YouTube for an hour. And then when you come back, you even say to yourself, okay, I just got to get through this 1 hour. And if I do, then I'll have cheeses at that point, right? So you watch YouTube for an hour, you get to 8 o'clock, and for some reason, you don't even want them anymore.
What is more difficult, to actually lose the weight or to maintain the weight loss?
Great question. I think to lose the weight initially was really hard. And I think the habits were the hardest. And the habits are all in your brain. Yeah. So I think the hardest part is losing the weight initially and getting over those habits. Once you get those habits anchored in the right way, then it comes off like butter. And then as far like literally butter. But also the other thing is as far as maintaining weight, you just notice. Like for me, because there are times that like on a day that, let's say my wife and I go out, that we'll come back and we'll have some Taco Bell, right? Like that's our thing. Or if we come back from like a vacation, like we went on a cruise, we came back and it's really, really late at night usually. And so what we do, our thing is that when we come back home, we've been in airports and we haven't eaten for like, 12 hours. And now it's like 10 o'clock at night. We're all hungry. And the kids got to eat, so we'll have like Taco Bell. But then even while you're doing that, you're like, oh man, I feel like my body's not used to this anymore. So you're having like Taco Bell at 10 o'clock at night, and you're like, I don't love this feeling. And that anchors it in the right way.
So what were the biggest issues you faced being that heavy at 220?
Oh man, just being able to keep up with the kids, looking at pictures. Oh, here's a good one. Looking at pictures, like you take pictures with your family, right? And you're like, yeah, but I don't love this picture because I'm like big in this picture. And so you get rid of the picture. Like I'd get rid, or like I'd see a picture with like, let's just say it's me and my in-laws and my wife and so my family and my in-laws. And I was like, yeah, but I look terrible in that picture. So I don't even want that memory. So you get over that. Or just, there's obviously physical limitations. When you're skinny, everything is better. Whether when you want to do like, I guess we're talking about intimacy here, right? When you're thin, that's all better.
So what is the biggest difference you felt from when you were 220 pounds to what you are today?
There's so much, man. Oh man, I really, really greatly recommend it. Confidence, the way you talk, the way you interact with your kids. There's so many facets. So let's just hit the biggies, right? Confidence, whether it's with a coworker, whether it's with somebody of the opposite sex, whether it's with your wife, confidence, okay? When your kids want to horse around, and I won't always be stronger than my son, or maybe I won't be stronger than my daughters, right? But just to be able to like run with them, pick them up, it's been life-changing. And then as far as like with my wife, it's just been life-changing. Just to be able to like pick her up. She's lost a lot of weight too, but just to be able to like pick her up because I'm stronger now, or just when we're hanging out, it's been everything. It just makes everything, whether when you're with your significant other, it just makes everything better. Yeah. Hanging out with the kids and being out of breath, Or then, okay, here's a big one. When they just assume, like they'll play like frisbee with each other, but they just know that you're not going to play with them. You know how you talked about if you take time to exercise, you can serve your family at a higher level,
Yes.
right? When you are when you are at a good weight or you're strong and you feel confident, you can serve everyone in every aspect of your life better.
It's a lot of psychological.
It's so psych. Oh yeah.
What diet has been the best for you on your weight loss journey?
For me, it's been intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting and then high protein. So high protein diet. I'll just walk through a day. So today I had coffee in the morning. I use protein, core protein, as the milk or the base, I guess. I had 4 shots of coffee. Yeah, I have 4 shots every day, and then I won't eat till about 1. And then the last time I had any food, save the coffee, was at dinner yesterday. So my intermittent fast is between, say, I don't know, just say like 6 o'clock at night till 1 or 2. So that's 6 to midnight is 6 hours. So about like 8 hours. Is that right? No, 6 to 6 a.m. is 12 hours.
Right.
And then 6 a.m. to 1 is another. Yeah. So it's 12 plus 7 is 19 hours.
Without eating.
Yeah. I mean, I have a coffee, but it's like low calorie.
Right. So what is your body doing medically during the intermittent fast?
So when you have your food, your insulin level goes up, and you're in this mode of building. Okay. So if you're in this mode of building, you're not in a mode of weight loss. So if you have like a meal or something with carbs in it every 2 hours, well, you're spiking your insulin every 2 hours. That's not great for so many things. A high insulin level is not good if you're trying to fight an infection. A high insulin level may make you feel moody. A high insulin level, you're not thinking super clearly. I love being in a low insulin state. And I think there's even some links to a low insulin state and longevity. Because if you think about your body's like, oh my God, there's nothing. So now, in order for you to save yourself, you have to turn on all these wonderful mechanisms that God has given you so that you survive, right? Whether it's your brain needs to turn on because you're fasting, because I need to be smart enough to catch the rabbit that I'm going to eat, or it is, my muscles need to be working at a really great clip because when I see the rabbit, I have to run after it and I cannot fail.
What are the long-term health effects from being obese?
Oh man. I go head to toe. Neurologically, so let's start brain. Brain, if you're obese, you're not everyone who is obese, but like right after a meal, or if you're not in that fasted state, you're not as sharp. Okay. Cardiovascular, it's all over TV, it's everywhere. Atherosclerotic disease, not great for you. If you are obese and like your stomach pushes up on your lungs, as an example, you're not taking in deep breaths. That's called hypoventilation obesity. There's like a syndrome. OSSA, I think. And then as far as like GI, if you're obese, you're not digesting things at the level that you should be. And then as far as your muscles are concerned, you're putting all this extra taxation on your muscles as well as your heart. To be overweight is really taxing your body.
There's a trend in the media that big is beautiful. How do you feel about that?
I think this is more controversial than like religion or politics. Okay, so I think the way that I want to attack this question is, if you are so big, right? Because what this stems from us, let's just talk about it's males versus females, right? This stems from a very male-centric society telling women how much they should weigh. And skinny is beautiful and blah, blah, blah. So I'm glad that we're out of that because, some people just can't fit into like a size 6 or whatever it is, I don't know what it is, size 4, whatever it is for girls. Whatever it is. Some people just will never be able to do that, no matter what they do. Okay. So obviously I'm happy that that's not the thing. But if you are big and beautiful and your lipids are really high and you don't have like a genetic disorder that predisposes you to that, then you need to probably lose weight such that your cholesterol level is better. So that would be my thing. But coming back to like abs, right? Just because abs are considered pretty now, right? They weren't pretty before. Like a person who was kind of obese before was considered beautiful before, right? Like if you look at those really ancient, the pottery, like you look at a woman that's considered beautiful on that pottery, it's somebody who's really big and curvy. So coming back to my original statement, so if you have a 6-pack and you're unhealthy, then you shouldn't have a 6-pack, right? If you are big and you're unhealthy, then you shouldn't choose to be big. But I think this whole big is beautiful thing is just about if you are big, like on the outside, and all your health numbers look good and you're able to, interact with your children or you're able to maintain activities of daily living, then so be it. I think that's where it's at. But just be big just for the sake of being big. But because of that, you need a wheelchair or your knees are giving out or you're developing osteoporosis or you can't breathe as well, then no, you should get to a weight where you can perform those activities of daily living and just live longer.
Doc, if you could send us off with one message, what would that be to motivate us to begin our weight loss journey?
So it is obviously in you to lose weight. It's just about you accessing that self. It's all in your brain. Once you can tap into that portion of yourself, it's already there. That, I don't want to say skinny person, but that person's already there and you just need to access them. Yeah.
Skinny Mike.
Skinny. You just need to be able to reach out and access that version of yourself that's already there. Oh, another big thing is just enjoying it, right? And then I don't want everything to come back to abs, but like I have abs now, but I have too much visceral fat. That doesn't mean I'm not going to celebrate having abs, even though it's not my focus. But you don't have to be at 220 and then be at 130 to enjoy it. You could be at 220 and get down to 210 and enjoy that you lost that weight. So you really got to enjoy the process. You can't just be like, oh, this is a big one, actually. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to enjoy myself when ... Never do that. Never do that. It's good to give yourself goals, and then also don't give yourself impossible goals. Chunk it out.
Doc, thank you again for sharing all your tips and tricks of weight loss today, and we'll see everybody at the next episode.
Oh, you're very welcome. I love talking about it. I get really passionate about it because if I can do it, anyone can do it. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe for new daily content.